So here we are, start of a new week, and BSG just overhauled a system that they haven't touched since I've played the game, and I think long before even I started playing. That system is server selection. The opinions on this change, update, whatever you want to call it, are all over the place, and a lot of them are pretty bad in my opinion. That's not the point of this video. The point is to talk about what's happening, provide some context as to why maybe this change was done, and then pro-con it a little bit so folks can form better opinions. Now, there are legit issues. Folks all over the world can't even play the game right now. They can connect and get in, but as soon as they load into a raid, they get kicked for the ping limit. But BSG has said they're aware of this. They're working on fixes, and they actually have a patch tonight as of filming this, but it would be Monday evening in the United States to address some of these problems. They're also going to continue to monitor server load, queue times, and things like that to make any further changes to the system that they might need to. So while it might suck that you can't play for a day or two, BSG needs this time to get their new system up and running and get it fine-tuned for everybody around the world. Now, for possible reasons as to why they did this, because they haven't really told us, at least I haven't seen anything officially from BSG as to why they went this route. This is speculation, obviously, but it comes from me talking to a handful of people that work in this industry or parallel to this industry, around networking and in various capacities like that, to kind of get an idea of why you would do this. And the number one that comes up is basically to even out server load. Right now, with players being able to select specific servers, there's the potential that entire servers go unselected or unplayed on for various reasons. This means BSG is paying for servers that are not being utilized. And while they're doing that, servers that are getting utilized are having long queue times or issues because they're overloaded. Also, having these virtual regions, or however you want to call it, allows them to move servers in and out of regions without having to update players' selected servers. So like, for example, I usually played on 3 or 4 selected servers. If they added a server and I didn't know they added it and it was one I could play on, unless I went in and selected it, I never played on it. And that happens with a lot of players. But now with a region selected, if they add in server or take a server away because it's not needed and move it to another region, then it updates for every player using the system. Now, some more far kind of fringy things that I think might be, let's say, peripheral pros or benefits to them doing this, but not really reasons they did it, could be to keep people from selecting dead servers. So there's a popular thing amongst a certain group of players where they find a server at a certain time of the day that if they log into that server and they play labs or different raids on there, they don't really run into players. So they're free to do tasks or loot and don't have a lot of competition. The other one is to more region lock people. I don't know how much, it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't really, because with the ping lock already in there, you're already pretty much de facto region locking people. But this might be, as they change ping caps and things like that, this might be a way to do that more frequently. Now, for pros and cons, these are obviously subjective. There's my opinion on what's a pro and a con, but take it for what it is. The pros, and we've seen this play out today with most of the streamers, and you can not like streamers or think negative about them, but they are a great source of information because they play a lot of hours, they have a lot of experience. But the general consensus is everybody is seeing fuller servers than they've seen pretty much all wipe or in many recent wipes, except for the first few weeks of the game. Or not the game, the wipe itself. So you're seeing people run into people, which makes the game more interesting. I also think this could lead to better queue times during peak periods, primarily wipe, but sometimes they'll do an event that'll bring a ton of people back, and we end up with servers crashing, high queue times or disconnects, all sorts of problems. If this system allows them to spread that player base out over more evenly, a bunch of different servers, then we could end up with better performance. And then lastly, one that's not important to a lot of people, but it makes stream sniping a little bit more difficult. It's more RNG. So instead of maybe getting lucky and finding the server that streamer is on and then queuing on that server and queuing at the same time they do, now you're just in a region. So there's a handful of servers you could get put on, not necessarily guaranteeing you're in their raid. Now for the cons, again, this depends on how you look at it, but you can't avoid a players if that's your thing, like we talked about. So that ability is going to disappear for a lot of people. Also, friends that like to play across the ocean with one another, I don't think it's got a lot of testing done yet, but the right now, like if I wanted to play with somebody in the United Kingdom, there's like 1 or 2 servers I could select, and I might be able to play with those guys in Europe. And that's it, because just because of where I live and where they live, we can't do that now. And I don't know if region lock will work. It's something we'll have to test and see if I play on the Northeast, NA Northeast servers and they play on the NA Northeast servers, if we can actually play with each other without getting kicked out of the lobby. But that's just us. There's other scenarios where there's no way this can work. You know, there's guys in New Zealand and Australia that are saying they can't even connect to the game. It doesn't matter if they want to play with their friends or not. But again, that's just needs some tweaking. Now, this was a tool for a lot of streamers to avoid stream sniping, because you could simply just select your server in secret and not show chat, and it made it harder to find you. But this is kind of a product of the system itself. By making, you know, the region lock, you kind of make this harder to get stream sniped. So this might not necessarily be a con. It might just be a peripheral thing that goes away. And then lastly, tournaments. A lot of tournaments that I've played in, not the big ones, not like Evasion or, you know, the Rivals or Pestilence, things that get the private servers. The smaller tournaments don't get their private servers, and what they'll do is they'll put all the players on one server, particularly on one time. They'll they'll say everybody play on this server and only use the right time. And then that makes sure everybody in the tournament has a better likelihood of running into one another. That won't be able to be done anymore. And I'm not talking about tournaments that you can run in co-op mode or anything like that. This is bigger. They're bigger than that, but they're small enough that they don't warrant, at least in BSG's eyes or sponsorship's eyes, the cost of a private server. Now, with that being said, almost every one of these cons can be addressed with tweaks or some exceptions they could create. But if you're one of those players that like to play on empty servers, I get it. It sucks that you're going to be losing this ability, something that you probably liked about the game, but you're a pretty small portion of the player base. And to be frank, if BSG wanted Tarkov to be a single player game, they wouldn't have made it multiplayer. So it's time for all of you to play with the rest of us, whether you like it or not. But that's it from me. Get off my soapbox or whatever you want to call about this. Just wanted to get my 2 cents out there and my thoughts about it. I think this could end up being a good change, but only time is going to tell. Make sure that if you haven't, you go check out my music on Spotify. We're up to 140 songs, 8 albums. They're all great. We got 2 different genres going now. It's free to listen to, obviously that, but it's also free for content creators. You can use it in your YouTube videos and stream it on Twitch. No fear of copyright strikes or DMCA. That's what we made it for, was for everybody able to use. So go check it out. Check the link out. Let me know what you think, what your favorite song is, something like that. Also, if you like the video, help me out and hit like. If you're still here, I imagine you had to like the video, right? As well as subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Otherwise, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in Tarkov.